I often also wonder how much freedom or choice a person really has in when it comes to belief and believing. I've tried over the past many years. I've tried to believe um, in the various cults out there, the old ones and the new ones, um, and it didn't stick. So I mean, I'm that kind of person. You seem to be that kind of person where it just didn't stick. But obviously, some people, um, it sticks. you know, the holy rollers, if you will. Like um, maybe I was just born this way, and they were just born that way. And the guru was just born in a way, so he's going to tell me I'm consciousness, right? And I'm going to sit there and say, well, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we're all kind of like pawns in this believing game, maybe.
Well, that's really a good point. There is different psychological types, and it's not one size fits all. And if someone is the bhakti type and they want to have a shrine in the house and bow to that and believe that by enough prostrations, eventually they will become enlightened, I'm not in a position to say that's wrong. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I have never tried to talk anyone out of a spiritual practice. My entire thrust here is only to speak to people who have tried all those things and have found it unset. They're saying, gee, I've been doing this for 15 years. When do I get it?
Yeah.
Yes. So, if prayer works for you, then by all means pray. I can't do it because I can't believe that there's some outside force that's going to hear what I'm saying and respond to it. I just don't believe that. I never did. I didn't believe it when I was 6 years old. But I understand that my way of seeing things is unusual, and I'm not trying to foist it off on anyone.
Based on what Richard was just talking about, when you were talking about, he sees your image on the computer, he hears your voice, but he has no way of knowing for sure that you exist outside of that. When I hear you talk about that kind of thing, what comes to me is just this idea of common sense. Like it's just common sense to me that yes, you do live in Mexico, in addition to being this image on the screen and the sound I hear through the computer.
Yes, I'm the same way. I just deal with the shit that's in front of me, of course. You'd be insane not to, actually. But that's not that. But that's not what we're getting at here. What we're getting at here is the claim that someone knows the capital T truth of what reality is. A few weeks ago, I referred to the work of a Norwegian philosopher, Peter Zapfe, Zapfe. In evolutionary theory, there is an item called runaway evolution. And an example of that is the peacock's tail. The male peacock has this huge tail that makes him a perfect prey. He can't really run fast. He can't really fly. He's pretty easy pickings, really, for a predator. So why would he have such a large tail? Well, evolutionary theory looks into it like this. Many years, the countless eons ago, there were peacocks with small tails. But some were larger than others. And the females were attracted to the peacocks that had the slightly larger tails. So they were the ones that got to fertilize the eggs for the most part, while the small-tailed guys got cut out of it. Kind of happening on the human level too, but not the tail. And they get cut out. That's right. They got cut out of it. And so gradually, over a long span of time, the tails get longer and longer and longer. But they're the ones who get to reproduce because they're the ones who the females are attracted to. This is called runaway evolution. Okay. What Zapfa was saying is there was a runaway evolution in human intelligence. We developed a kind of intelligence that's not really needed. Let's put big quotation marks on that, because how do we know what's needed? But leaving that question aside, our brains have evolved beyond that of our nearest relatives, like chimpanzees and bonobos. So we have enough brain power to wonder, who am I? Or how did I get here? Or what is all this? Okay, but according to Zapfa, we do not have sufficient brain power to answer that question or even consider it with any great intelligence. And that's why we have religion and metaphysics instead of knowledge on that subject. We're not capable of it, says Zapfa. And I guess I'm saying pretty much the same thing. I'm not capable of knowing truth. Is there a God or there isn't? Or what is reality? Those are questions that I refuse to consider. That's not my world. I have no interest in those questions. I reject metaphysics entirely. I don't mean other people shouldn't have theirs if they want it, but I don't have one.
My question was about the common sense thing, that common sense tells me you are in Mexico, as opposed to what you said a few minutes ago, where Richard can only know for sure that he sees your image on the screen and hears your voice on the computer, and he doesn't really know you're in Mexico. The way our minds have developed over time is that we purposely, or we're designed not to bother thinking about things that aren't worth thinking about. So that kind of comes to mind with, yeah, maybe I don't know for sure you're in Mexico, but what the hell? That's going to be my assumption, and it's useful for me and for humans to have those kind of assumptions.
Well, that's right. The human vision is a very good example of what perception and thought really are. Our eyes seem very capable, more capable than a digital camera. Well, I use cameras a lot. We can read tiny print on a screen and all of that. And we see a whole field in front of us, a whole world, and it's filled with detail. But there's only one focal point. It's in the center of the eye where there's any real detail at all. And all the rest of it is a blur. And we just fill it in mentally. Of course, not intentionally, it just happens. And that's how we can walk through the world and kind of know there's a car over there headed my way. But actually, it's never in focus unless we look directly at it. So this is what we're doing mentally. We just assume that God is taking care of everything. We were told that since we were children, and that is a kind of a useful belief that this world is organized somehow. I don't have to keep checking it all the time to make sure it's still here. And so we just go along with the image of reality that has been taught to us. And for many people, that's fine. They live and die. And for some of us, we question all these assumptions. Is there really a God? Is anything really organized in that way so that things happen for a reason? These are questions, but they don't have answers. Is there really free will to choose what kind of mind to have? Of course there isn't. When would that have started? So you're stuck with the mind you have. So if you're interested in these matters, as I have been, then you read Krishnamurti, another person who doesn't claim to know any truth. He's just going to tell you to wipe the slate clean and make an examination for yourself. If you didn't have that interest in all of your minds, you wouldn't be sitting here listening to me. This would be totally boring. What is this guy talking about? Why did he write that shit to begin with? Who cares? I just want to go to the, I want to have sex with a porn star. That'll take care of everything. And that's the guy who's running the country. It's and trying to. Well, I won't go into that rant. That's endless. We all know I'm talking about, that fucker. Actually destroying, I'm about to rant, but I'll just keep it to 10 seconds. He's actually destroying these structures that have been built up since the 1770s and have served very well to keep tyrants from ruling the United States. And this guy's just dismantling all of that because he is a tyrant. And that's what, he's just preparing the ground. Okay, I've spoken. Well, let's keep on the previous subject, because politics is an endless swamp.